Bitcoin finally rallies over 70K. And as of right now, we're actually holding above 70,000. We've seen $1.45 billion of inflows into US spot Bitcoin ETFs over the past 5 days, and that is led by BlackRock. That is a great way to start our episode, so let's get right to it. Make sure you check out the disclaimer. I am not a professional. This is for educational and entertainment purposes only. If you guys hear anything that excites you in this episode, please do your own research and consult a professional before you put any money to work. All right, guys, let's get right to it. On top of Bitcoin rising, we also got the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, and the Dow all finished positive for the day. So we went from Monday, as we heard, we had an announcement over the weekend that we're going to basically begin a war with Iran with Israel's help. On Monday, the market shot up. Tuesday, we had different reports. Oil started to spike. Gold started to sell off. And the markets dipped pretty substantially before it rebounded off of those lows of yesterday. And then today, we got another bounce back, another move higher. So we've definitely been whiplashed around. I've learned my lesson. I'm just going to concentrate on long-term investing until things really settle and we get out of this uncertainty phase. Now, there is providing opportunity for you to jump in some long calls. Or if you're a long-term investor, maybe you find an opportunity to buy some things long-term. I know I did. I've been kind of doubling down on Robinhood lately. And Robinhood had a pretty nice day today because it really follows. It has a correlation with Bitcoin. Bitcoin moving back up, more than likely. Robinhood traders are jumping back in and trading the asset, the cryptocurrency. So that bodes well for Q1 for Robinhood. And actually, now that I think about it, I think Robinhood has a presentation today. It does. I'm going to say this is probably at 6:30 Eastern. It's called Robinhood Presents Take Flight. Probably more than likely rolling out some new endeavors in Robinhood. Maybe they'll talk a little bit more about Robinhood Ventures, which is an opportunity for you guys to invest in private companies such as Databricks in that fund. I want to say Friday is the IPO, and it's listed at $25. And I believe that the only place that you can jump into that IPO is with Robinhood. So if you're interested, take a look. I did do like a deep dive into Robinhood Ventures and whether or not it was a investment worth taking a look at. Now, after doing that research, I found that this Robinhood Ventures was basically established in August 2025, and they don't really have a track record of doing this. So keep in mind of that. You can go on Robinhood and definitely check out the interview they had with Bill Ackman. He was asking great questions. They weren't just layup BS questions. I believe he had or currently has Bill Ackman, as when I refer to he, has a open-ended or closed-ended fund, I think is what they call it in Robinhood. Not really similar to what Robinhood's doing, but he has a great understanding. He asks great questions. I didn't really like some of the answers that Vlad Tenev and I think his CFO, maybe I butchered his title and I'll probably butcher his name, but I think his name is Shiv, or they call him for short Shiv. I didn't really like some of the answers that they provided. Didn't provide a lot of confidence. And the person that's going to be managing the fund was not there to talk about anything. I looked at her background as well, And she doesn't really, she has a great background. She's educated, very smart woman, and she does have financial background experience, but not in the terms or in the situation that she will have in managing this portfolio. She hasn't done something quite like this, at least according to Claude, when I did my research. So with that being said, I would probably, this would not be one of my major holdings. It's $25 a share. I've only asked for 10 shares. So if I got all 10 shares, it'll only be $250. I'm not really confident of this. This is just something I'm going to throw my money into, hold it for long term, something if I'll invest in, and I'm not going to really need that money anytime soon. Just let it ride and see where it goes. This is something you want to hold 2 to 5 years minimum. So if you guys are diving in, I do have the research here. If you really want to dive into it, you can reach me on socials or maybe comment on this video if you want to dive in more on that. But again, I think it's pretty risky. There's not a lot of track record in Robinhood doing this. And so I would keep my my allocation towards this fund, this IPO, pretty small compared to the rest of your portfolio. But let's get into the market. We'll talk about the scoreboards, the 3 major indexes. But first, let's go over the VIX. We talked about yesterday, the VIX hovering around this 21. And I was just watching on CNBC Fast Money. Karen Finerman, I believe was her name. She says the VIX doesn't typically hover around or live around 21. Okay, and that's where we are right now at the close today. And typically it's going to spike or it's going to go lower. And she believes it'll probably jump back higher again. And we've already seen a whiplash already this week with information coming out on this war with Iran, or I should say U.S.-Israel's war with Iran and other allies. So this might not be the end of it. We might see it spike again. But we talked about the inverse relationship. So you see the VIX was down 10% today. That was good. And you see the major indexes were up pretty big with that inverse relationship. So down big in the VIX usually means you have a nice day in the markets. Not always, but that's what we got today. And it was really a great opportunity for you guys to be buying yesterday. If you did, I didn't buy the overall market. I'm just kind of like sitting and buying individual companies, little pieces of it here and there. And it's been working for me. Like I said, Robinhood did well. So VIX down to 21 is good, but we would like to see it much lower than 21, down to 15 or less. Moving over to the major indexes, S&P 500. I didn't close at the high, but still a nice day. Up just over 0.75%. NASDAQ up over 1% for the day. And the Dow just under 0.5% gain in the Dow. Gold, it did bounce back just over 0.75% today as well, but not to those levels where it was a few days ago, 490 plus. Small recovery, but nothing substantial. All right, so let's go into the market moving news for the day, and then we'll hit some of the individual stocks. So, of course, Iran war is going to be number one. We did see a pullback in oil, and then like we discussed, the markets did recover. Treasury Secretary Bessent signaled upcoming measures to ease fuel prices. And he also did confirm global tariffs would be hiked. I'm not sure how they're going to go about that, but I guess he was on CNBC this morning and discussed those global tariffs. President Trump did say he was going to provide insurance and make sure things were still moving through the Strait of Hormuz, or Hormuz, probably still butchered it. But there was a container that was struck today, navigating that strait. So we'll see exactly what happens if U.S. can provide protection and guarantee protection moving forward. Strong ADP report definitely contributed to the bounce in the market today. ADP reported that private sector companies added more jobs than anticipated in February. Good news. Easing fears of growth scare and giving bulls a reason to step back into equities after 2 rough sessions. So we kind of had that risk on switch flicked on again. Warsh shock. I'm not sure if Kevin Warsh actually came on and said anything today, but again, we're talking about Warsh, what he's planning on doing, and maybe it's because as each passing day, Powell's time in the office is dwindling. His term is expiring in May. Warsh is expected to pursue, quote, quantitative tightening for cuts. That's his strategy, allegedly, which is aggressively selling off the Fed's $7 trillion balance sheet while simultaneously lowering short-term rates. That's what Trump wants. He wants those rates to go lower. Broadcom earnings. Broadcom reported after the bell. Last time I saw there wasn't a major move in the share price after hours. Maybe we'll get more of a move in either direction after the earnings call. And Ross Stores beat and CoreWeave surges on Perplexity deal. So Ross Stores beat Wall Street's quarterly estimates and authorized a 10% dividend increase. That sounds pretty substantial, with earnings of $2 per share on revenue of $6.64 billion. And with that, shares rose 6%. Not bad. Meanwhile, CoreWeave popped 8% after announcing a multi-year agreement with Perplexity, which will power its next-generation AI inference workloads on CoreWeave's platform. All right, let's go over the biggest movers and losers and the 3 major indexes. First, the Dow. It was nice to see Amazon have a nice day today. Amazon was the top gainer in the Dow, followed by Caterpillar and IBM. As far as top losers in the Dow, we saw Chevron, Merck, and Honeywell shares move lower. We'll go to Robinhood to go to Robinhood Digest, and I'll just give you some of the information on Amazon and why those shares were moving today. Give me one moment. So it says here on Robinhood Digest, Amazon-backed AI company Anthropic is nearing $20 billion in annual revenue, up from $9 billion at the end of 2025. This rapid growth is driven by strong demand for its Claude Code tool and other AI products, highlighting Amazon's successful AI investments and supporting the stock's positive momentum. They also announced robotic job cuts. So Amazon reduced jobs in robotics division this week as part of an ongoing cost-cutting and strategic shift to reduce reliance on robots in warehouses. So that some of that contributed to Amazon's move higher today. I would like to see shares move closer to $230, but right now they're settling just under $217. S&P 500, Micron had a nice bounce back after losing a big chunk. I don't think that it got everything back that it lost yesterday. AMD bounced, and raw shares, like we discussed, moved 6%. Losers, Novo Nordisk, Blackstone, and material and energy names. And the NASDAQ. CoreWeave was the biggest gainer in the NASDAQ, Micron, and Moderna, whereas Tesla, I believe, was a big loser yesterday as well. On Holdings and CrowdStrike were all down today. Looking at some of the companies that I watch on a daily basis that are in my portfolio, Meta had a nice day, just under 2% gain. NVIDIA, it hit a high today of 184.70 and pulled back a little bit, still ahead 1.66%. We discussed Robinhood. They were up about 10%, I think, at the peak today. Yep. Shares were at 83 $88.85 at the peak and fell and closed at $82.21. Uber eked out a gain today, just a modest gain. Vertiv Holdings up just under 3% today. Synopsys and Cadence were both up over 1.5%. DraftKings still moving higher, up 4% today, and those shares are pretty much closed at the high. Closed at $25.43, where its high was $25.47. Netflix is knocking on the door of $100 per share. I think we're going to see a pullback soon. Those shares are really, they're approaching, or I think they are overbought right now. So I'm expecting a pullback. If it does pull back, I'm going to jump back in and take advantage of some options, some long-term options. All right, that's it for the day. Short and sweet. Be on the lookout for a new playlist. I will be discussing sports hopefully a few times throughout the week leading into 2027. All sports as far as NBA, golf, NFL, specifically NFL, and kind of all sports. We'll talk about WNBA. The USA baseball team, I believe they are playing or starting playing Friday. So we'll discuss all sports, sports news. We'll talk about fantasy sports, prediction markets, some of my bets that I'm putting in periodically here and then. And one thing that I'm most excited for is I am the Tennessee Titans season ticket holder. So not for this current season at the old Nissan Stadium, I'll call it, but for the new Nissan Stadium. But that stadium is still in construction and will be opening for the 27-28 season. So it gives me time to watch and observe Robert Saleh and general manager and Coach Dayball, how they're going to come together and build this team through free agency and in the draft. And then in 2027, I have 2 season tickets. If I have a nice year, I'll try to buy some more season tickets, and I'll take you guys using my Meta Ray-Ban glasses. I'll take you guys through the stadium. You can see where my seats are, and I'm definitely not on the close to the field, but we got pretty nice seats. This will be my first experience as a season ticket holder as an NFL, and so we'll be talking about the Detroit Lions. That is my hometown team, Detroit Lions. We'll be talking about the NBA. The Detroit Pistons are doing pretty well. And then we're going to pretty much focus on the Tennessee Titans and that rebuild and see what Cam Ward can do with a defensive-minded head coach, but a great offensive coordinator and previous head coach of the New York Giants and Coach Dayball. I believe the GM, who came from the Kansas City Chiefs, he was there for over a decade. He knows how to construct a team. He knows how to build a team. He knows how to build a winning culture. And I believe that is going to be an absolutely amazing opportunity to really step foot into the stadium, watch some games, share my experience with you guys. Hopefully, I'll be bringing family, friends, loved ones, and hopefully have some special guests as that page grows. So look out for that. If you're a sports fan, please make sure you please subscribe. Please make sure you subscribe to this channel for all updates. If you're interested in my trades in real time, or if you want to join our Patreon, there's a free version and a paid version. Please join that Patreon. The link should be in the description, or the link should be in the overall page. There should be a link there for you guys. All right. Have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday evening, and I will see you guys in the next one.